The idea that John Jones is afraid to fight Francis Ngannou is ridiculous.
Yeah, like based off what? Like,
well, exactly what we were talking about the other week, right? Like if you're John Jones, you don't look at Francis Ngannou the way that us mere mortals look at him.
Nah.
Like if Daniel Cormier looks at Ngannou and thinks to himself, you know what, I think I could probably beat him.
John Jones definitely.
You know, John Jones can think that.
Man.
And I still fancy his chances. Like the X factor for Ngannou is that he's got to land. And this is something else we've got to talk about. I know we're jumping around a bit. There's no way that the smaller octagon doesn't change the fight.
Mate,
this narrative is nonsense.
He nearly didn't have to jump to get out to his coaches. He just sort of like peeked over the top.
Just box jump, just stand on the side.
Of course, like if you're fighting Francis, you want as much space as humanly possible, right?
As humanly possible. Do his chances of not getting hit with a power punch improve if he's fighting on a tennis court? Yes, they do.
Absolutely. Yeah. Baseball field,
right.
Go for it. If you can get to me, good on you. Yeah.
But like this is the thing, and like people like so the full size octagon's 30 feet. The apex octagon's 25 feet. It's a difference of about 200 square feet of space, which then, and consider this, if you made the octagon, the 25-foot octagon into a tank, a fish tank, and you filled it with water, you drop O'Malley in there against Thomas Almeida, and 280 pounds of water's been displaced. Yeah. You put two heavyweights in there, and everyone's got their feet wet.
That's a lot of volume.
That's a lot of volume.
Yeah,
it's just it's such a weird narrative that is like they constantly reinforce it. No, it makes no difference to the. Of course it does. Yeah. Like there's even an article about it I was reading yesterday about how the finish rate has jumped up like 12% since they started.
Who's making the case that it doesn't make any difference?
I've heard really Dana double down on it, saying that the smaller octagon makes no difference.
Yeah.
If you're playing on an NFL field that's 360, what is it? 360 feet long.
I don't know.
And you take a third off that, and that's now 240 feet long. How much is played in that last third of the field?
Yeah, of course it makes a difference, and it's never going to make more difference than at heavyweight, is it? Like that's where the maximum impact is going to be.
For sure.
Anyway.
John
ain't scared, man.
No, of course he's not.
Like
he's scared of brain damage and not getting weighed in for it. That's what he's scared of, which he should be. Like, get paid. If you're taking that kind of risk, get paid.
Yeah, I agree. And it's the fight to make. It's a super fight.
It's the fight to make. And it just infuriates me that it's being insinuated that he's afraid.
I feel like that is it's probably people projecting how they would feel in that situation.
Yeah.
Like, hold on a minute, John's the baddest man on the planet at the minute.
Of course.
How about you let him decide whether he's afraid or not?
And the reality is, like, if I was standing across the octagon from Ngannou, I'd be a little bit fucking afraid myself as well.
Oh, because I would never got in there in the first place.
But this is the thing.
No way.
But this is the thing. In the right circumstance, with the right money, I'd take that fight because there's a little bit of a crazy chip in my fucking head.
Just enough. There might just be that one time.
Fighters are dreamers, man. Fighters are dreamers. And if I'm John Jones, I'm definitely thinking I can win that fight.
Yeah, and John's looking big, man.
Yeah.
He's looking big. I'd love to have watched like how he's got that, whether he's just laid that muscle on or whether he's stayed explosive, stayed moving, or I know he got into sort of powerlifting for a time around the time he failed the drug test or hid from the drug testers. But
he may have got that from the chalk bucket at the gym he was training at.
Maybe,
I mean, like I've seen photos of the inside of that gym, and it's reminiscent of some place I've trained before.
If he can layer that weight on and still move like John Jones moves at light heavyweight, good luck.
How much weight do you think he'd have to gain to negate the force of Ngannou coming forward? Like Stipe came in at 235, and I saw something about DC saying that he should have come in heavier. But it didn't suit him last time.
I think it's a very individual thing. He couldn't put a flat rate number on it because it just depends how he moves. The minute he starts to lose any speed, because he's going to beat him by speed and technique. He's not going to outpower him. It's impossible to outpower him.
Yeah.
Just a mechanical power. He's going to beat him by timing, technique, and speed. So the minute your weight gets heavy enough that it's limiting your speed, well, that's the time you need to either pause it or bring it back down a little bit. But it'd be so subjective to work that out. Fascinating fight.
You just got to kind of edge your bets on it. If I'm Stipe, I'm like I need to be able to work hard for 25 minutes because that's how I'm weaponizing my conditioning against him. The first round is always going to be hard work because I've always got to try and keep away from him.
Stop.
And again, you know, you put that, the last fight was in full size octagon, wasn't it? Like you give him that space and it makes a massive difference with his head movement, with his footwork.
Yeah.
Like he couldn't get away from Ngannou. And this is the thing, Ngannou had definitely improved. Ngannou's definitely improved. He was more cautious. He was more measured.
Yeah.
His footwork was better. You know what I mean? But at the same time, Ngannou last time would have beaten Stipe in the smaller octagon because he would have got to him quicker. He would have landed those shots that Stipe was able to slip and get away from. Like you remember that clip where he's up against the fence.
Maybe, yeah. This was my kind of fight because you could see the process by which he'd got better. Like they'd gone away and gone, oh, you're not going to win like that. You could win like that, but you're not going to win like that. You've got it all. This is what we need to do with you. And fair play to Extreme Couture and the guys that have been working. Who's the coach that we...
Dewey Cooper was in his corner and Eric Nixick.
Yeah, right. You know, fair play to them. They got him to calm down. They got him to be more accurate, should I say. And I was impressed by the training interventions that they'd put in place. I was like, oh, well done, guys. You've nailed it there. That's what coaches are for.
Yeah.
And I thought I just thought he looked good. I thought Stipe was almost like took back by how patient he was. He was like, no, I need you to come at me. That's what I'm gonna.
I need you to swing so I can slip and get out of the way.
Yeah, exactly. And then he was like, because he didn't want to engage and come in, did he? Because he was like, this is not how it works. I know exactly what you're going to do. Come on, do it.
Yeah. And you've got Ngannou posturing like either hand could come, either one could go, and then you're like, and like it's that threat of something happening that then forces Stipe back up against the fence, and Ngannou's like, which way are you going to go? Which way are you going to go? Like last time, Stipe needed him to roll that dice first so he could get himself off the fence, and he didn't do it this time around.
Very, very tricky puzzle for Stipe when you're faced with something you're not expecting like that, and you know the consequences of getting this wrong.
And the punch that knocked him down was a straight punch as well.
Yeah,
which is another adaptation.
Another one. Yeah, I really enjoyed it, and I love Ngannou's story. I love the way he sort of, what he's done and how he's got there, and he's champion of the world, and it's just a movie, innit?
Did you see the reactions around the world?
Yeah,
it was brilliant.
Love it.
And I tell you what I love as well is that photo of him standing on some stairs. Have you seen it from like 10 years ago? He was already on brand.
Amazing.
He was already on brand.
Such forward thinking.
Yeah, it's just got a couple of little piercings in his ear.
Yeah.
And,
he's not that big, is he?
He's not.
Mind you, I think he'd be pretty young, but it wasn't nothing compared to
how old is he now?
The stature of him now. But I was just, I really like Stipe. I think he's been a great champ. I'll be down with a rematch. I'll be all good with that. It'd be nice to let him have a shot to get that back. But it was a good. It was a good result.
Yeah,
it was a good result from Ngannou.
Do you think Stipe comes back and fights him again?
I don't know, man. I don't know. Depends on how well he's done, I suppose, in the last few years.
If I was Stipe, I'd be thinking about retiring from MMA and crossing over to the Triller card. Fighting someone like Antonio Tarver. He'd probably get weighed in and get a lot more money for it.
He's got 2 little kids now. Yeah, it changes your perspective. It seems to go either way, right? Like, so for Cowboy, it gave him the impetus to get back in there and go for it, but it does, to some degree, remind you of your mortality. Like, you've got people relying on you now. You've got little helpless children relying on you. So yeah, I don't know. We'll see what we do. He must have stacked some cash over the last few.
You'd hope so.
Yeah,
you'd hope so.
Yeah.
He's the downside to Miocic is that he's not. It's never been as easy for the UFC to market him.
No. No.
It was kind of the same with Demetrius Johnson. Like, although he was incredible, he was difficult to market because when he's not in the octagon, he's jet washing his drive.
Yeah.
Or he's playing video games with 12-year-olds. And, like, that's, like, you can't market someone jet washing their drive as the baddest man on the planet.
You do have to, like, remind yourself you're a product sort of thing, don't you? Like,
yeah. You're a brand. Yeah, you're a brand. And like, Stipe's just not... He reminds me of like an old 1920s boxer. Stipe does. It was like you know what I mean? Like, here's a story for you. There was a time when there was a fight. I've got a poster of him on my wall, and I've only ever seen maybe 15 seconds of him fighting. And his name was Edwin Gumboat Smith. Oh, recycling's here. His name was Edwin Gumboat Smith.
Yeah.
And when he was the U.S. Navy heavyweight champion in the world. The reason that set him aside and the reason he's on my wall is because he never refused to fight with anybody. It didn't matter who they were, what colour, what race, or anything like that. And when he was the heavyweight champ of the world, that belt was called the Great White Hope, which is just ridiculous if you think about that. Like, there was a segregation in boxing, and he was the heavyweight champ. But when he got the belt, he was like, "I'll fight anybody. I'll fight anybody." And as soon as he did that, he opened the door to all of these incredible boxers and athletes that had previously been fighting amongst themselves, and now were starting to get integrated into mainstream boxing.
Nice.
And although he was technically good, he just couldn't keep up with some of these guys that were coming through. And Stipe reminds me of that old school technical boxer that if he was fighting other old school guys that are from like early 2000s in the UFC, he'd have been able to manage it, you know? Yeah. But like the new fighters that are coming through, like Ngannou is just incredible.
We've talked the UFC is like I don't want to say evolution on steroids because that's a whole different conversation. But it's like a pressure cooker of evolution, isn't it?
Yeah.
Like you don't get to stay still for a year because someone has already leveled up, and then they've already leveled up, and like that I think that's the point you're sort of making, is that you could be a champ for a little bit, but there's a rate limiter, isn't there?
Yeah.
And this new breed that are coming through is just, it's tough to keep up with that top echelon.
Well, that like Stipe's a decent sized athlete. He's not particularly fast. He's not particularly strong. Like, there's no physical attributes about him that stand out. The reason he's been the heavyweight champion, he's been successful, is because he's been technically good. Kind of similar to like Glover Teixeira at light heavyweight. Yeah. You know? No physical attributes that stand out. Competitive, strong enough, powerful enough, but nothing like he's not super quick like Cyril Gane. He's not super tall like you think of somebody else that Miocic struggled with, Stefan Struve, 7 foot tall. Like, he had all the technical ability to beat Struve, but that physical attribute was so problematic for him.
It's like the NFL. Like, you can't really play in the NFL. Well, there's a couple of positions you probably could, but you can't really play in the NFL unless you are a super athlete. Not a good athlete. You have to be a super athlete.
Yeah.
And there's like 60 odd people per team, and I don't even know how many teams there are. So there's a lot of relative amount of spots to fill, but all of them are super athletes. They're either incredibly big, incredibly strong, incredibly fast, or like I was insinuating, the only position is maybe if you're incredibly skilled at quarterback, but you couldn't be 70 kilos.
No.
You could be the most skilled quarterback in the league, and you couldn't be 70 kilos. At some stage, you're going to get torn up by a goddamn raptor coming off one of those lines.
Exactly. Well, I'll talk about your world. I have a video, literally a VHS video, and it's called Brian Moore's Rugby Punch-Ups.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. But you think back to like what was that, 1990s, 1980s? I love that
the only thing you have to do with rugby is a punch-ups video.
Of course. Mate, honestly, that is one of the most brutal videos. There's like people getting studs in their face and all kinds of stuff. I always say to the boy,
it's horrific when they fight in those games because you have no idea. It's a pub fight, isn't it? You have no idea where it's coming from. It's, just stand in front of me and we'll go. It's fine.
And a lot of them were pub men. A lot of them,
and
that's what I'm saying is like you were probably in the sport, or you probably helped influence that shift in a lot of ways from the pub men that would drink 12 pints after a game of rugby and do a couple of days training and be ready for the next weekend, to the point where you're taking like recruits in that are already great athletes into Leicester Tigers and then converting them into great rugby players. Like, there's a point
where... a bit of both. Recruitment-wise, you still look at skill probably first. Skill and understanding the game probably first, because you can build physicality to a certain point. Yeah. But yeah, exactly that. And there was even a shift over I started at Leicester in 2004-05, and although it was full-time professional, there was a relatively solid drinking culture. People would they'd get on the piss definitely at the weekend, maybe they wouldn't tell us, but maybe once in the week, and play. It was just that right at the end of that early professionalism. But now, I don't hear the stories quite so much anymore. Like, they're starting to see themselves as products and brands to a certain extent. It's difficult in a team sport because they're the brand, but you know, you got to look after yourself. I can make some money with this. I better look after it. You know,
it's like we were talking about the Oakland Raiders the other day. I mean, in those America's Game DVDs, I used to watch them during training camp. But like, you go back to the 1983 Raiders, like you take the 83 Raiders and you put them against the Raiders today, who the 83 Raiders, they were a Super Bowl winning team, weren't they? And then you've got the Raiders now, who are, you know, the Las Vegas Raiders. They're kind of middle of the road, whatever. I know very little about football at this point. But you wouldn't put those two teams next to one another. It wouldn't be competitive, because now you've got super athletes that know how to play football, and before you had basically criminals and thugs, and like there weren't many like what you would consider to be professional athletes on the team. There were big guys that loved to scrap. You got John Matuzak clotheslining people. You've got one dude covered in stickum. You've got one guy with a cast on his thumb. He's got broken thumb for 5 seasons. Like, it's just different. And so the overall point I'm trying to make is, I think that this is the dawn of a new era at heavyweight, and I think like Stipe DC was the last
of a kind.
The last of the kind.
Cyril Gaines in
exactly.
the new thread. Do you know what I mean? Like he's big, but he moves quicker than you'd think someone that big can move.
Same with Derek Lewis.
Yeah.
Same with Chris Daukaus. I mean, you look at like and I'm looking more at the heavyweights coming up. It's like you could literally divide the heavyweight division into 2.
You've like Chris Daukaus, don't you? Always bring him up. There's something about him.
It's the way he moves.
Yeah.
There's a song in there somewhere. He doesn't move like a heavyweight, and him and his brother are both very, very intelligent. Daukaus is I believe they're both police officers, but definitely Chris Daukaus is. But he's got super fast hands. He's a black belt in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, which he's never really had to rely on. Yeah. But it's the way he applies the shots. Like, you watch people throwing punches and they look good, they look nice and sharp, but they're throwing it because that's what they've decided to throw. Whereas Daukaus, he finds his way in and he's like, okay, when he does this, I'm going to slip, I'm going to throw this. And there's a higher level processing to it. And the hand speed that he's got is not what you would expect. He's very, very quick. But I look at that, I mean, maybe you could divide the heavyweight division into 3, because you've got some guys like Aspinall, Daukaus, Cyril Gane, guys that are really good athletes, that are big for the weight class. Like, I mean, Tom Aspinall's not massive, but he's still bigger than Stipe.
Yeah.
You know, Cyril Gane might not be the biggest puncher in the division, but he's got better conditioning and better movement than probably everybody else in the division.
Yeah, I agree.
Chris Daukaus might not be in the greatest shape of the world, but he's great on the ground, and his hands have proven to be able to do the job alone. And then you've got Olenek, Blagoy Ivanov, Shamil Abdurrahimov. You know,
that one skill set of theirs in particular is the thing that's sort of keeping them where they're at, isn't it?
Exactly.
They're further away from being the complete MMA guy, but that skill set is just a bigger platform for everyone to catch up to in it.
Yeah, it's the Teixeira effect at heavyweight, and I think Stipe represented the last of the normal human beings at heavyweight. I think him and DC was the last of the dad bod fights at heavyweight. I think now we've got like Derek Lewis. He doesn't move for a guy that's cut into 265 when he's flying knees and head kicks and springing back to his feet when he's been taken down.
He's going to get so much better. He just screams out to me that he's like he's already really good, and he's just untapped potential. In a couple of years, he won't recognise himself now. In a couple of years' time, he'll be like, "That Rocky doing that."
Yeah. Did you see him wrecking that boxer that came into the gym sparring?
No.
There's a video floating around it from a couple of weeks ago. Some guy basically, like a boxer, came into the gym and challenged him. And Derek Lewis, that's a pub fight.
Was he okay?
He was not okay. He was not okay. He was getting punched through the ropes at one point.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
I'm going to look that up. I like those.
Yeah.
I didn't realise that still happened.
I
still doing that?
No, it's crazy, isn't it? Yeah, it still happens. Gym invasions. I love Stipe. I think he's a great all round fighter, and definitely one of the greatest heavyweights of all time. The more MMA, the more time passes though, the more we'll look at Stipe like a Cinderella man. you know?
Yeah.
Like someone that, well, he was the right person for his time, but like
It's so
Gumbo Smith would not do anything in the heavyweight division right now. He was 6'2" and had a 72-inch reach, and he was the heavyweight champ of the world.
No.
Like, do you know what I mean?
It's one of the beauties of this sport is just as you think things are leveling out and settling, something disrupts it, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Like it never seems to stay where it is for more than not even a couple of years really. It's pretty much yearly. Someone comes onto the scene, something changes. Oh, we can never go back now. This is the way it is now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That Edward Gumboat Smith, his name was. I'm just going back to it because I find it a really interesting story. But the reason he was famous and the reason he's on my wall is because he didn't refuse any fights. He would fight anybody because it was about boxing.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
It was about
for
boxing.
the love of the art.
Yeah.
Yeah. Very cool.
Fascinating individual. February 17th, 1887, he was born.
Do you think they'll do the rematch? Do you think they'll push for Jones?
I don't think they'll do the rematch. I'm not sure as Stipe feels like. I don't think he's going to feel confident enough that he can do anything different the second time around. I think as good as Stipe is and as effective he is, I also think he's quite a realistic individual. Part of the reason maybe why he never left his job as a fireman. I don't think he looks at Ngannou now and thinks to himself, I could beat him in a rematch.
Do you think the octagon thing might be that little tick in the back of his head? Give me a bigger octagon, he's not going to catch me.
If I was Stipe's coach, I'd be weighing heavy on that in training camp. If he wants to come back and fight again, I mean, the thing is, like, so even if Stipe came back to just fight at heavyweight, it's going to be just as risky. Like, go down the list. Like who are they going to give him? Derek Lewis. Curtis Blades would be a fascinating fight, and if they need a fight for Curtis Blades to get him to the heavyweight title, that's it. But I don't think they do. I think, but see, that's another thing. Like Blades he lost to Ngannou after 2 rounds the first time because he got his eyes swelled shut. Second time around, he got dropped and took a bunch of shots, but he still insists that Goddard stopped that one early, which, I mean, I can see his argument, and if I was him, I would have wanted the fight to go a bit longer, but his legs were just gone, and he was taking shots to try and get back to his feet. But in Curtis Blades' head, it was still stopped too early by a referee, stopped too early by a doctor.
Effectively injury, yeah.
And he will also see what Stipe did the first time around and think to himself, I can replicate that because I'm a better wrestler. So, like, I think Stipe could come back and have a few interesting fights. I just don't know. I don't know where the value is unless he really wants to get back to the title. And if he does, then just go for the rematch.
It might be. Maybe that's why Dana was a bit nonchalant about John Jones, is because he knows he's got some interest. He doesn't have to make that mega fight. Obviously, it's good for business, but he doesn't have to make the mega fight straight away. And the chips are sort of weighted in Dana, the organisation's favour a little bit, aren't they? It's not like, Jones is the only thing we can make right now. We've got to make it. Give him whatever he wants.
But that's the thing. If the fight was agreed and they had a contract with John Jones's name on it, agreeing to whatever pay they're offering, they would be promoting that fight like it's nothing else, because that's the fight to make and everyone knows it.
Yeah.
The only reason the fight's kind of getting shit on a little bit is because John Jones has not agreed to take it. So the more the UFC promoted, the more value there is in John Jones holding his ground.
They don't know what they're doing about everything, but they know what they're doing in this case.
They know how to play this game.
They definitely know how to play the game.
They know how to play the game and how to keep that money out of the fighters' pockets. That's a guarantee. I hope John Jones gets what he's worth, because I tell you what, stepping in there against Ngannou is a life-changing decision. You have to be realistic about that at heavyweight. Like, Alistair Overeem was lucky in that fight. That could have been a lot worse. That power that he can generate.
The stakes are higher than anywhere else, aren't they? But
so much higher.
They're both heavyweights, though. Do you know what I mean? It's not like me stepping in there. Then the stakes are ridiculously high. Yeah. For one of us.
but then like it's not on John Jones. It's not on John Jones to make sure that Ngannou's getting paid enough to fight him.
Yeah.
John Jones knows how dangerous he is. If Jones gets in there with Ngannou, he's going to try and decimate his knee. He's going to try and dislocate his shoulder.
I think he could pick him apart.
I think he could. In the small octagon, though.
Yeah, It's opening up though. This wouldn't happen in the small octagon, would it?
No, they've got Super Spreader Saturday
yeah.
coming up, haven't they? Where they're going to get fucking a sold out crowd of Floridians in there.
Single-handedly lock down the whole of America.
Dude, I'm all for crowds again, but
yeah.
I think it might be too soon.
Someone said that's least your worries in down there is getting corona.
Exactly, yeah. Yeah.